Hi, Michelle. Thanks so much for joining the show today.
Hi, Alex. Thanks so much for having me.
And you're joining all the way from Melbourne across the world. So definitely some different time zones going on right now. But to get
Mhm.
started, can you tell the audience a little bit about your journey in design?
So I started in design in the early 90s, a long time ago, practicing as an industrial designer. So for the first 20 years of my career, I worked in industrial design and manufacturing, creating products that could be used by humans,
Yeah.
but they were tactical products, things that you could hold or sit on and use. I've designed beer bottles, I've designed welders for construction sites, kettles, mobile phones, office furniture, safety equipment. And the most fun job I had in as an industrial designer was working in a startup looking at biomedical equipment. I had also spent a number of years lecturing at universities, what you call colleges, in design, and I'd heard about this emerging field of experience design back in 2010, and I, really studied. The growth of this experience design space, and experience design to me encompasses service design, UX design, CX design, all of these acronyms, and I really became fascinated by it. So I retrained about 7 years ago and have been practicing service design ever since.
So tell us a little bit about service design and maybe some of the key parts that you
Hmm.
advocated for at organizations or how you improve service design or your philosophy on it.
So I don't talk jargon or
Yeah.
theory so much. So what is my approach? I like this analogy that they teach at when you're learning service design. Imagine you're going to see a show, a theatre show, and you've bought your ticket and you've journeyed to the theatre, and now you're entering the theatre and you're sitting down in your seat. So what you see as the customer of the show is you see the front of the stage, you see the curtains, you see the props, you might look down into the orchestra a bit of a peek, but you're watching the show
Yeah.
that the actors and the directors are performing for you. What you don't see is behind the scenes, you've got all of these different people helping to make it happen. You've got your costume designers, you've got your prop designers, you've got your lighting people, your sound people, there's all of these different um, professions that have to work together and cross collaborate to deliver that show that you're watching on stage. And that's what service design is like. We are stitching together all of these different segments within an organization to deliver an experience that the customer receives. Now, the one thing that you have to also keep in mind is the customer is not just always the end consumer
Yeah.
of of the business or the service that you're delivering. The customer is also the employee, and the customer, I look at the employee as just as important to design for as the end user, because they're the ones who have to make the end user happy in the
Yeah.
end.
It's
And
really
even in the digital realm as well, it's the same. So I've recently joined Ernst Young here in Melbourne, Australia, as a director of design in the digital and emerging technologies space. However, what a lot of people may not know about Ernst Young is that we're not just a tax and auditing and accounting firm. We are actually a global technology advisory firm also. We do a lot of consulting across the globe on, design and technology builds, quite
yeah.
simply. So from a design perspective, Ernst Young have over 1,500 designers
Wow.
across the globe. We have design studios, all across the United States. A very strong studio up in Denmark called Doberman. uh, through to China and into Hong Kong. And here in Australia, we have a design team of 100 plus people spread across our business here. And design being UX designers, UI designers, and I specifically split them out because they are both crafts as well as professions.
Yeah.
Content designers, service designers, business designers, etc., etc., etc.
So like how do you make these trade-offs with digitizing fully or integrating support? Like I think that's really an interesting compromise sometimes with service design.
Very much so. So the first thing that I learned doing service design was the the Venn diagram of innovation, where you've got desirability, viability, and feasibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to balance the three in order to even make incremental improvements for the humans that you're designing for. Because as much as a customer may want to speak to a person in the branch, for example, the business is seeing that the actual traffic to that branch has reduced by 50% over the last 5 years. So therefore, they make a commercial decision to close that branch because they're just not getting those enough customers in to validate keeping it open. So
Right.
how do you actually balance that and still give that customer experience? Well, that's where contact center comes into play. You want to be able to call someone and speak to a human who can empathize with you and understand your pain of what you're trying to resolve. And then again, there's that balance of, well, we want to give the customer that desired experience, but then we've got to balance business requirements to run the call center and the viability of having extremely extended phone calls versus trying to solve the problem as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And my first job in finance was working in a call center, a contact center, and my empathy for call centers just grew, and my patience now has really grown because as a customer, I would call through and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm on hold for 15 minutes. And then I speak to someone and I'd take my frustration out on that someone. But coming behind the scene, that emerald curtain that you get in The Wizard of Oz, going behind the curtain and sitting with those people who are responding to the calls, they're just doing their best.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And they've got their own strings and demands that they have to meet as well to even keep their jobs.
Michelle, switching gears here, what advice would you have to new designers entering the field today?
So interesting. I find the letter P is a fantastic letter because my advice to designers is you need to be persistent, okay? You need to keep trying. Like, you're going to get knockbacks. We've all had knockbacks. I've had many knockbacks in my career. And if you are passionate about design, then be persistent. The other thing you have to do is be patient. And this is the advice that I give to a lot of students that I've mentored over the years, to the graduates that I work with now, is 2 years experience is not experience. A university degree is not enough experience. University or a vocational course gives you 10% of the learning that you need just to put the foot in the door, right? And you have to be patient and you have to learn the craft and you have to understand the challenges, the problems, the many multiple different ways that you can solve these issues. And you have to learn it from the bottom up, and you have to actually go through your apprenticeship and learn, and then you will grow from that. You need to put your foundations into your profession to be able to grow where you want to grow. Do you want to become a craft leader and just practice the design craft that you love? Do you want to become a people leader? In which case you have to build so many other skills around how to manage people, how to speak with people, how to coach, when to choose to be a mentor versus being a director. And
Yeah.
balance, and finding that balance. And you can only learn those skills through experience of doing.
Well, Michelle, thanks so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alex, so much for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it.